I never planned to talk about this out loud. Honestly, I still don't know why I'm doing it now. Maybe because some stories don't stop knocking once they've started. They wait, patient, like they know you'll crack eventually. It started with the night shift. Of course it did. Everything bad always waits until you're tired enough to doubt your own senses. I was working dispatch, 911. The quiet kind of quiet, where the phones aren't ringing but your head won't shut up either. Fluorescent lights buzzing like they're alive, coffee that tastes like regret. Then the call came in. No screaming, no panic, just breathing, slow, measured, like whoever was on the other end was counting or listening. I said the line, you know the one, calm voice, trained voice. 911, what's your emergency? Nothing. Then a sound, not a voice, more like something dragging across a floor, soft, wet, too close to the phone. I joked, I always joke when I'm nervous, "Sir, if this is a prank, it's not a good one. You're not even trying." That's when the breathing stopped, and something whispered my name. I laughed, a short laugh, the fake kind, because dispatch systems don't give callers your name, and I didn't tell it. The line went dead. 2 minutes later, the same number called again. Different breathing, faster, panicked, like someone running but trying not to make noise. And in the background, this part still messes with me. I could hear my own voice repeating what I'd said earlier, word for word, but slower, wrong, like it was learning how to sound human.
At first, my goal was simple. Get through the shift, go home, forget it, pretend it was stress. Pretend caffeine doesn't cause auditory hallucinations, even though it totally does, right? But the calls kept coming. Different numbers, same silence, same breathing, same little sounds that didn't belong anywhere near a phone. Scratching, tapping, something like fingernails testing glass. One caller whispered, "Am I still here?" I froze, because that's not what people ask when they're in danger. That's what you ask when you think you've already lost. I wanted to help them. I swear I did. That was the goal. That's why I took the job. But how do you send help to an address that doesn't exist? Every trace came back blank. No GPS, no tower, like the calls weren't coming from anywhere or any time. I started writing notes obsessively, times, sounds, words. One call included laughter, soft, childish. Another had a man calmly asking if shadows are supposed to blink. I joked again, bad habit. "Tough crowd tonight," I muttered to the empty room. The lights flickered. I stopped joking after that. Because the next call was from my own phone number.
I answered it anyway, because curiosity is just fear wearing a fake smile. The voice on the other end was mine, not recorded, not robotic. Tired, strained, whispering. "Don't stay," it said. "It hears you thinking." I laughed, weakly. "Yeah, well, it's doing a bad job. I'm still here." Silence, then footsteps, heavy, close. Then screaming, my screaming. The call cut. I checked my phone. No missed calls, no outgoing. But my voicemail icon was blinking. Inside the message was breathing. And something else, a faint clicking noise, like a tongue learning where teeth are. That's when I realized the calls weren't emergencies. They were echoes or warnings or rehearsals. Each one showed a version of someone moments before something found them. Not attacked, not killed, just erased, like they stepped out of reality without closing the door. I wanted to quit, walk out, leave the headset on the desk like a bad breakup note. But the last call came in before I could stand. A child's voice, calm, too calm. "Can you tell my mom I didn't mean to open it? I asked what she opened. She said, "The quiet." And behind her, something answered.
They found the dispatch room empty the next morning. Headset on the desk, chair pushed back, coffee still warm. No signs of a struggle, just a sticky note with one sentence written over and over. If it calls you, don't answer. Here's the funny part, or tragic, hard to tell anymore. I didn't disappear, not completely. I still hear the calls, not through phones, through walls, through silence. Sometimes when your room feels too quiet, when your thoughts feel crowded, yeah, that's us, the ones who answered. I don't sleep much now. Silence feels aggressive, like it's waiting for permission. I talk to myself a lot, keeps the quiet busy. Sometimes a joke, still, old habits. Wow, I'll say, if I wanted this much attention, I'd have started a podcast. No one laughs. But sometimes I help. When someone almost answers a call they shouldn't, when they pause, when they hesitate. That hesitation, that's me.
So, if your phone rings and there's nothing on the line, if you hear breathing that doesn't sound scared enough, if the silence feels like it's leaning in, hang up. Trust me, silence doesn't need help. It just wants permission. And once you give it that, it never stops calling.
You know that moment just before the phone rings? That tiny second when the air feels tense, like something has decided to move? That's how my night started. I wasn't even on duty yet, just sitting in my car outside the station, engine off, rain tapping the windshield like it was counting time for me. I remember thinking, stupid thought, that if the phone rang now, I'd pretend I didn't hear it, like silence could be negotiated with. The phone rang. Not my work phone, my personal one. Unknown number, of course. I answered because I'm an idiot who still believes curiosity won't kill him, just scare him a little. All I heard was static, not the normal kind. This one felt heavy, like the sound itself was tired. Then a voice slipped through. Not loud, not scared, just resigned. "Can you stay on the line with me?" I almost laughed, almost. "Depends. Are you in danger?" A pause, long enough for me to check the signal twice. I think I already was. Something about that line, it sat wrong in my chest. At first, my goal was simple. Be human. Be present. Sometimes people just need a voice, right? Someone to keep the dark busy while help is on the way. I told them my name. Big mistake. They repeated it back slower, like tasting it. I asked for their location. Another pause. "I used to know it," they said, "but the house keeps rearranging itself." I smiled without meaning to. Nervous reflex. "Yeah, mine does that too. Socks disappear like they're drafted into a secret war." Silence. Then quietly. "The doors are lighter now." I asked what that meant. "They don't lead outside anymore." My stomach tightened. I told myself it was a prank, a creative one, a bored night kind of prank. But the background noise didn't lie. I could hear a clock ticking backward.
I stayed on the line longer than I should have, because every time I hinted at ending the call, the static got louder. Angry, like something didn't want to be alone with them. They started describing things, rooms that shrank when you weren't looking, windows that reflected different versions of you depending on how afraid you were. I cracked a joke, weak one. "Sounds like my last relationship." They didn't laugh. They whispered, "It's standing behind you now, isn't it?" I checked my mirrors. Car empty, street empty, rain still falling. "I'm alone," I said. "No," they replied gently, "you're just earlier than me." That's when my car radio turned on by itself. Same static, same breathing.
The caller went quiet, then relief. "Oh, good," they said. "It chose you."
The call never ended. I mean that literally. Battery didn't die, signal didn't drop. Hours passed. The sky lightened. My phone was still warm in my hand, like a living thing. The voice changed, became more confident, less afraid. It started asking me questions, personal ones, things I never told anyone, things I'd barely admitted to myself. I tried to hang up. My phone wouldn't let me. On the screen, new text appeared by itself. "Please hold." Behind me, in the back seat, something shifted.
I don't answer unknown numbers anymore. I don't even like calling friends first. There's something intimate about initiating a voice, like opening a door. Sometimes my phone rings anyway. No number, no vibration, just the sound. When I don't answer, I swear I hear disappointment, a soft sigh, like something patiently waiting for its turn. I started leaving my phone in another room at night. Didn't help. The ringing moved closer.
Here's the thing nobody tells you about calls like that. They're not trying to scare you. They're trying to trade places. Someone always wants out. So if your phone rings and the voice on the other end sounds relieved you answered, don't stay polite. Don't stay curious. Hang up. Because some calls don't need help. They just need a replacement.
I used to be the guy who checked recordings. Not the hero voice you hear on the line, not the calm dispatcher. Just the quiet person in the back room with bad headphones and a worse chair, listening to archived emergency calls to tag them, timestamp them, clean them up for training. Dead calls, old calls, finished calls. That's what they told me. The room was always cold, not haunted cold, just budget office cold, like the building hated us personally. I remember thinking that if ghosts existed, they'd quit this place out of boredom. Then I hit play on call number 7714. No metadata, no date, no caller ID, which was already wrong. At first, nothing, just silence. Not empty silence, busy silence, the kind that feels like someone forgot to mute themselves while thinking something ugly. I leaned back and joked to no one. Great, a silent one, my favorite. That's when the silence adjusted, like it noticed me listening. My job was simple: categorize and move on. Accidental call, dropped line, unknown. But this one didn't sit still. The waveform on the screen started moving, slow, intentional, breathing. I froze, then laughed under my breath. "Okay, creepy file, you win, tagged." I reached for the stop button. The breathing sped up. And then, clear as day, someone whispered, "Don't skip this one." I pulled the headphones off so fast they hit the desk. No speakers in the room, no open mics, just me and a paused file that hadn't been playing when it spoke.
I put the headphones back on, because of course I did. Fear makes you stupid like that. The voice wasn't panicked. That was the worst part. It sounded organized. "This call was never answered," it said. "That was the problem." I told myself it was an audio glitch, layered noise, pareidolia, all the fancy words you use when reality feels embarrassed. "Who is this?" I asked the empty room. Static. Then softly, "We were waiting for someone who could listen without interrupting." I joked again, nervous shield. "Buddy, you called the wrong department. I interrupt for a living." No response. The voice started explaining things, calmly, methodically, about calls that never reached dispatch, about moments when people screamed but no one picked up, about emergencies that stayed emergencies forever. "They don't end," the voice said. "They accumulate." The ringing grew louder. "They accumulate," it continued.
But nothing archived is gone. It's just held. My screen flashed. Incoming call. Same number as the file name. I didn't answer. The ringing inside the recording stopped. The voice sighed. That's why this keeps happening.
After that night, I started noticing patterns. Silent calls in the system that shared the same frequency, same waveform, like fingerprints. They weren't random. They were waiting. I stopped joking, mostly. Hard to laugh when silence starts feeling like a backlog. Sometimes when I'm alone, I swear I hear phones ringing that don't exist. Not loud, just enough to be rude.
Here's what nobody tells you about emergency systems. They're built to respond, but they're terrible at ignoring. So when something calls often enough, when it waits long enough, eventually someone listens. And listening, apparently, counts as answering. So if you ever hear a phone ring when it shouldn't, if the silence on the line feels expectant, don't fill it. Because some emergencies don't want help, they want witnesses. The story is over. Don't forget to support me with a like and subscribe.